Hello again. Thank you for joining me for another video. So the topic for today's video is materialism. So I've had some issues with materialism basically my whole life. I think the idea of the Big Bang is so unsatisfying in terms of explaining reality. So it does a good job in explaining certain aspects of material, but it is really rather deceptive in the way that it is used as if it is an explanation of reality as a whole, and the way that energy works and how things erupt out of nothingness to begin with, precausal levels and influence. So one of the problems is that materialism is an attempt not so much to discredit the idea of a creator, but to cause humans to forget the important role that they have in creation. And what I mean by this is that living things desire and respond to love and caretaking. There is what's the best way to say this? An increase. Like, it increases exponentially, much more so than, if you shape a brick, it's going to stay in that shape. If you contain a plant, it's going to grow as big as it can within the container that you've given it. And we are creatures that decide those things. We decide those things not just for bricks and plants, but for each other. And it isn't an individual choice. You are not a brick. You are not unaffected by the reality around you. And there's so much effort to convince you that you are an island. So some of the things that non-duality gets right is that it does express the nature of connectedness that we are. But the responsibility that comes with that, the potential, the tantric opportunity is not necessarily unfolded in that level of knowledge. So a lot of times people come out of materialism and they enter into the stream of non-duality because they are so provoked by the idea of religion and a creator. It's like everything must remain very, very non-personal, and everything must remain very neutral. So there can't be a creator. But we are fucking creators. That's what we are. So it's really irritating when we don't take the responsibility of our influence on reality seriously. And I think that is a result of materialism and the idea that everything came to be impersonally. It all came to be out of this impersonal void where there was not desire or attention or influence or love or curiosity. It was just nothing and some gases, and the gases got a little too hot, and here I am. Like, what the it is unsatisfying. It is unsatisfying. Some people are satisfied with it, and I think that they fail to see the connections in this very simple, like, looking at Earth and the way that nature responds. So we know very well, because there's actually been experiments done on it, so nobody has to be confused about it, that when we speak to plants, they grow better. When we care for them, they grow better. But the thing that we forget is that plants also care for us. There's also a reciprocal relationship there, where we are giving them something that they want, and because of that, they are tuned into us. So if we tuned into their messaging, they can help us more. One of the things I know for sure about this planet, this place we live, is that our biochemistry gives off signals. So emotions, everyone's trying so hard to, like, I don't want to have emotions, that's so bad. And emotions are actually this emittance, which informs our environment of what we need. And if we had the opportunity to be in healthy relationship with our environment, it would point us in the direction of the thing that would solve that discomfort. I think it would be true for wild plants. Like, if we had a situation where wild plants still existed and were allowed to grow, new plants would erupt based on what we needed, and respond to that, the biochemistry. That evolutionary relationship with our environment it's intimate. And I think the crux of that, and how that actually, that communication is not something that is expressed by materialism, because most of that, as far as I can tell, the best explanation for it is quantum mechanics. But even that is missing a whole bunch of information about the personality of reality, because reality has a desire, and we feel it, we live in it, and we feel it. A pulling, an investigative curiosity. There's something there. And I think one of the most important thing that we miss when we attempt to see the world in this very impersonal, separatist framework is the impact that we have on our environment and each other. And so it has become very easy to compete, to live as if the status and the fight for supremacy and the, only some things get to mate kind of mindset. And we limit what we could be growing if we had the extra energy of love and abundance amongst us, if we weren't competing at the levels that we are competing at. And love is it's a stupid word at this point, because people have just tarnished the shit out of it. It's like that vital intelligence. There's a vitality to it and an intelligence to it and a connective glue to it, all at the same time. But it can make stuff also. So it's really just, desire and curiosity mixed with power that we can't see. It's not seeable. And so this whole concept of the impersonal nature of this plane of existence, it takes away some of our responsibility and tunes us out of how reality is talking to us and communicating with us. Because if we think that all of those communications are just signs of mental illness, that's just crazy talk. That we're not tuning in to valuable information. That subtle hit in your gut when you shouldn't go down one street as opposed to another. You know, this one time I was walking down the street in the small town I went to college in with a guy, and he happened to work at the police station. He did dispatch work for the police station. And so we were just walking along, and all of a sudden I stopped in my tracks. And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I feel something really awful." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I don't know. I can't go any further. We got to turn around. We got to go a different way. Something feels like death." And then we went a little ways, and he's like, "Well, I'm not really supposed to say this, but that house right there that you didn't want to go walk by, well, last night, blah, blah, blah happened there." And there's been so many times in my life where, you know, that feeling came up and I ignored it, or, you know, I belittled myself for feeling that. Why can't you get over anxiety already? You know, how many people that are suffering under the feeling of social anxiety are actually picking up legitimate signals that the people around them are in distress. You know, stuff like that, like the communication, right? And the responsibility to each other, the responsibility to care for each other. We are not islands, we are the interbeing, that understanding of interbeing and interrelatedness. It changes everything to such profound levels that I hope we can tune back into that. In my first video, that my failed attempt at explaining this stuff, I was talking about, like, if we had the ability to coax trees to grow in such a way that we could shelter within them instead of having to cut them down and stain them, and, you know, and put the chemicals on them that make them not mold, and then insects don't want to eat them. Like, trees and plant life actually can make chemicals to keep certain bugs away that are harmful. They do communicate with each other across species to you know, influence that and make it louder. So we wouldn't have to be so surrounded by death all the time, killing everything, and in this attempt to make ourselves safe. But before I go off on another tangent, I'm going to stop there. The main thing that I think that materialism effed up is our communication ability with actual reality, and our responsibility to caretaking each other into the type of beautiful creatures that we have the potential to be. So, take care. Please leave comments below. Till next time. Bye.